Okay, so we're ready to work the flowers now, and we're going to make these from French knots. I'm going to use a sharp needle. I've got a chenille needle here. It's much easier if you use a sharp needle to work the French knots, because then you can take them through the threads and make sure you're much less likely to have the French knots slip through to the back. But I don't put sharp needles in the packs because I don't like to send them out in the post. I'm sure somewhere in the house, I'm sure you'll have a sharp needle for this. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start off by just running the thread a couple of times up and down one of these channels just to secure it. So pull it through gently, you don't want to lose the end. And then take it back down the next one, being careful not to pull your base out of shape, so take it very gently. And then the first thing I like to do is I like to make a little wrap here around the stalk of the bunches of flowers. It doesn't matter, you can do it now or you can do it at the end, but I tend to start off with that. And it's just a little knot like the knots we used when we were tying the stalks together. So here goes the first one. I'm just going to make this one up at the top of the stalks. Pull the knot tight and then take another one around the bottom through the loop on the back. Pull the knot tight. So you can see there that just quite nicely gives the effect of a little ribbon round the bow. And then just to make sure that that stays good and tight, I'm just going to run the thread up to about the middle, just making sure that that stays nice and tight round the bottom. Okay, and so we're ready for our French knots. It's a good idea with this variegated thread, it's a good idea to scatter the knots, and then you have the effect like a bunch of flowers where you have a slight variation in colours spread throughout. If you start at one end and work your way across, you'll find that you don't get that scattering of the colours, and it can just look a bit odd. So scatter your knots around. I'm going to start with one in the middle. Here we go. If you're confident making French knots, just go ahead and make them. So you can see I brought the thread through from behind. I'm just going to hold it out the way with my left hand and take the needle under, and I'm just going to make a wrap 3 times around the needle and take it back in a not quite in the same place, because you don't want this to slip back through. So just pull this and hold it tight while you pull the needle through. And there we go. There's our first flower on the posy. So just carry on with those, just carry on scattering them across the posy. Here we go with the second one. Wrap 3 times, take it back in a close to but not in quite the same place. Hold that thread tight while you pull the needle through and just pull it through gently there. So, and then I'm going to pop one over here. Again, the same thing, hold that thread across, wrap 3 times, 1, 2, 3, take it back through, hold the wraps while you pull the needle through for another little flower. So just carry on with that now until you've got as many flowers as you want, really. You can scatter them or you can bunch them in quite closely. It's up to you. It's up to how you want your posy to look. So there we are. I'm happy with how my posy looks there with the flowers. So I'm just going to turn it over and I'm just going to run this thread across the back a couple of times to secure it in place. Make sure it's not showing through on the front when you do this, and again when you pull it through, don't pull it so tight as it pulls your posy out of shape. So there we go, 1, 2. And I tend to leave the thread on the back until I've decided what I want to do next. You can either make your posy, Dorset Posy, into a little brooch. You can sew it on something to decorate it. You can make a whole string of them to decorate something if you want. As I say, I tend to leave the threads there, and then you've got something you can use either to sew a pin on the back or to sew it onto something. I hope you've enjoyed learning how to make a Dorset Posy. Do go over to my Etsy shop and have a look, and you'll see kits there for Dorset Posies, Dorset buttons, and if you've already got the instructions and you want to buy some more rings and threads to make even more Dorset Posies, you'll find an add-on pack for that as well. So thank you very much. I'm Coral Newton from Corals Handmade on Etsy.